Nigeria, good afternoon, everyone listening to us this beautiful Saturday afternoon here in the city of Lagos. This is City Talks with Ruben Abati on City 1051 FM, the station that keeps you talking, your lifestyle station. Today we are turning our focus on a topic that sits right at the heart of our national survival: security. Barely 17 months after the Tinubu administration first expressed interest in creating a decentralized police system, the conversation about state police has returned to the front burner. This week, during a meeting with eminent citizens of Katsina State, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu restated his administration's commitment to devolving policing powers to the states, while also strengthening new forest guards and deploying advanced military technology to fight banditry. Back in February 2024, the federal government and all 36 state governors began formal discussions on establishing state police. This was in response to worsening insecurity across the country, banditry, kidnappings, and violent attacks that continue to undermine livelihoods, food prices, and deepen economic hardship. But while many see state police as a natural solution, others fear the risks: abuse by governors, ethnic profiling, and duplication of security agencies. So today we ask, is Nigeria truly ready for state police, as President Bola Ahmed Tinubu appeared to have been suggesting? Can decentralization help us overcome our security challenge, or will it create more problems than it solves? Remember, you can join this conversation live by calling us on 0700 1051 1051. You can send us WhatsApp messages on 0909 916 4403, or you can send us social media messages at City 1051. Now, today on City Talks, we're being joined by two distinguished voices in Nigeria's security space. First is Barrister Mike Ejiofor, retired director of the Department of State Services, DSS. Over a 35-year career, he served as State Director of Security across multiple geopolitical zones. He is a fellow of the Institute of Security and Chief Executive Officer of Apex Safety and Security Consultants in Abuja, and he remains one of the country's most respected public affairs and security analysts. Also with us is ACP Police Supernumerary Unit Damola Kolawole, a lawyer and a senior police officer with a rich blend of academic and professional expertise. He holds degrees in political science, law, and with research focusing on security and national development. Coming from a policing family, his father retired as a commissioner of police. His uncle also retired as a deputy inspector general of police. ACP Kolawole brings both lived experience and scholarly depth to conversations on law enforcement and national security. Gentlemen, welcome to City Talks with Ruben Abati. Great pleasure to have you with me on the program today. Thank you for joining us.
Dr. Ruben.
Okay, I can hear Mr. Ejiofor there, but I don't know whether Mr. Kolawole, ACP Kolawole, is with us. But while hoping that he will join us in due course, let us start with you, Mr. Ejiofor. Now, the idea of state police is not new. We keep going back to it. 2014 National Political Conference. Last year, President Tinubu set up a committee to look at the matter within the context of the devolution of powers. In January, we were told that all the state governors had expressed commitment to state police. But as of March 2025, we're told that only 20 of them have submitted proposals, frameworks as to how, state police can be operationalized in their various states. And now just this few days, these past few days, the president talked about state police again as an idea whose time has come and an idea to which his administration is committed. Now, from your professional background, Mr. Ejiofor, let's go back to the story again. What do you make of this renewed push, this sudden readiness?
Well, a series of programs have advocated this issue of the state police. And I was highly elated when the governors agreed last year with the president that it should be agreed that they should have state police. And as we speak, they've not done anything about it until 2 days ago when the presidency discussed the issue. You remember that state police cannot easily be created without the amendment of the constitution, since it says that Nigeria has one police force. So I believe that the National Assembly, the governors, should urgently look into the law, pass it, so that we have a state police. And the argument people are having about the abuse of state police, I ask, is there any state in Nigeria that doesn't have its own state police in the name of one joint task force, one whatever you call them, the different names that they have been using to have their own state police? All we just need is to formalize this so that it will help us. There are so many advantages. The bulk of the staff of the state police will be drawn from the state where you have the people residing there. Like Mr. President said, he commended the civilian joint task force, and that will show you the extent with which state police can be helpful in tackling our security challenges. If you take, for instance, I've always continued to give that example. The Amotekun in Ondo State, for instance, they have been doing very well, and the reasons are obvious. They are very, very well acquainted with the environment. They know the people there. But a situation where you take somebody from Sokoto and move to Bayelsa, the person has never seen water before. You talk of acclimatization, culturalization, religion, all the differences. Before that person gets used to the environment, he's moved out of that place again. Or take somebody from Bayelsa that has never seen desert before. You put him in the desert. There are many problems. I have even suggested that before which I believe the police was doing under Babangida, and I think the police also registered recently, that the rank and file of the police, the Nigerian police now, is drawn and the people are posted to their geopolitical zones where they don't have a language barrier, they don't have the culture is the same thing, and that will help us. I think it's so emphasized the need for us to have state police, not minding the perceived abuse. And the question is, if the fear that it will be abused is what is holding us, is the present Nigerian police as is constituted not being used to abuse people? So the solution is that anybody whose right is abused should go and enforce his right in the law court. I don't see time is over for us to establish the state police. And more so when you have elections coming up, and we need to get these people prepared before then. The law should be passed so that they have a state police. That's my take on that.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Ejiofor. I see that ACP Kolawole is with us now. But ACP Kolawole, most police officers do not like the idea of state police. I guess because it may take power away from them. So they are talking about community policing, they are talking about local policing, they are talking about decentralization of the police in such a way that people will only be posted to communities that they are familiar with. You are a policeman. Where do you stand in this matter? Do you think that creating state police would dilute the effectiveness of the police force, or it would be useful?
Thank you very much, Dr. Ruben Abati. I hope you can hear me now.
Yes, I can.
Dr. Ruben Abati.
I can hear you.
As a matter of fact, my area of policing is what we call the auxiliary policing. That is what you call the supernumerary policing. Anyway, we must be clear about something. We cannot have appropriate policing in Nigeria. We cannot have effective policing in Nigeria. We cannot have a police of the people in Nigeria without ensuring the fact that there's the decentralization of the organogram of the Nigerian police force. The fact that we are, grappling with various indexes of insecurity in Nigeria has a lot to do with the form of policing that we are still practicing today. And what do we call this form of policing? We call it a centralized policing that is formed. Basically, the foundation of the Nigerian police, you should understand within the context of the constabulary, from inception. That is the policing of the colonial masters. We are still holding on to the policing of the colonial masters still now. And that is the policing by which it is basically to protect the interests of the colonial system at that time. So the foundation of the Nigerian police today, by which we call the constabulary policing, is basically focused on the protection of the elite, the protection within the context of the colonialists. Then, now we have that same system being transposed into the protection of the protection of the politicians, the protection of the house against.
Hello, Mr. Kolawole, if you can hear me, it looks like you are using your phone and calls are interfering with what you are saying. If there's a way you can help us manage the situation so that for the duration of the program, you block calls from interfering with your conversation. Hello, are you there? Okay, let me quickly go back to Mr. Ejiofor. Mr. Ejiofor, there was a point you made about possible abuse, and that if people see that state police is being abused, they can seek redress. Now, I hope it's as simple as you make it, because even now, under what Mr. Kolawole calls centralized police force, we see people abusing the police, particularly during election time. All you need is to have access to the center in Abuja, and you can just use policemen either to frustrate the people's choice during local government elections or at any other election. So even now the people are helpless. What do you think will make them more powerful, particularly during election season, when a state governor can just decide to use his own police force to enforce his will?
Well, that's the point I was making. If you look at the elections we have been having, you see police assisting people, distributing money, and carrying ballot boxes. Are they made up of state police? Well, in the state police, I'm not ruling out possibility of abuse. I'm not ruling out the possibility, just like you have in the central Nigerian police system now. But the point remains that a stage would come that people will rise against such vices. And we should also bear in mind of the funding. It is not every state that can afford to establish or fund the state police. For the states who can, yes, why not? And there must be guidelines. There must be demarcation between crime prevention, prosecution, between the central police and the state police. The So what I believe the state police should be doing is to liaise, work together with the Nigerian police in providing necessary intelligence with the state security service. And there are minor offenses like stealing and burglary. Yes, they can come to that. But when it comes to felony, I think that's where the Nigerian police will come in. There must be outlines, there must be guidelines which have not been drawn. And I believe before the establishment of this state police, those guidelines will be drawn, and stipulated so that people will know the limits on which they can operate. If you don't do that, I see a situation where the state governors will use it to abuse political opponents. Don't also forget that this same Nigerian police and the state governors, they are just there by nomenclature. They are called chief security officer of the state, and they have no command and control of the state police, Nigerian police force. I've been listening to comments, both from radio, TV, analysts. It is not entirely correct to say that the state governor cannot give orders to the either director of state security or the director of SSS, all any of the agencies. It is not entirely correct to say that. But when you are giving an unlawful order by the governor, like governor asks you to go and witch hunt his police opponent, no same commander or director will do that. The fact remains that we have state security council meeting where issues bordering on the states in the state there are discussed and actions recommended and taken to restore peace in the state. So it's not entirely correct to say that the state governors are just there by nomenclature so over the commanders as well in the various states.
Okay, let me go back to Mr. Kolawole. Mr. Kolawole, yes, you seem to support the idea of having state police decentralizing the existing police force. But how about funding? Many of these, even at the federal level, federal government doesn't pay the salaries of policemen regularly. We have issues with the pension arrears of policemen and even their mode of pension fund administration. And then now we say the states should take on this task. Where are they going to get the funds from? How are they going to sustain the maintenance of the police force? Even if you say, well, some of them are already managing some security outfits, but, the scale is likely to be different when you have a fully instituted state police.
Well, you see, we will continually talk about, fundamental issues that affect our institutions, which the Nigerian police is not an exception. But one thing we should understand is this. No matter what we have to say about this, we understand that there are issues of financial recklessness bedeviling the institutions of Nigerian states. We know quite well that there are issues of corruption affecting the electoral of, corruptions affecting the Nigerian state. We know that. We also know that, look, there are political understandings to some of these things that we talk about in Nigeria today. So, look, if we continually say that the issue will be the issue of funding, when we get to the bridge, we will definitely cross it. You see, most of the, developed, institutions in the Senate climb, they have gone through this developmental process that we are going through now. And they've been able to actually surpass the stage of funding. I believe that away from financial recklessness, away from corruption, away from mismanagement, state executive will definitely be able to actually surmount the various issues affecting their system. I actually concur with Barrister Michael Geoffrey's assertion that you cannot, it is absolutely improper for us to say at this point in time that the chief executive officer of a state does not have control over the chief law enforcer of such state, that is more or less like it's an aberration, so to say. I believe the chief executive officer of a state must be in appropriate control of the chief law enforcer of the state. So in context of financing, we definitely will get there, because at the point we have, most of the indices that we are actually complaining about that has to do with Nigerian police, most of those indices will still come even when we have the state police. But the idea is, it is better for us to have a decentralized system, for us to have a localized police. We are not saying that take policing away from the federal institution. No, there is going to be a federal police. There is going to be a state police. There is going to be a local government police. There is going to be a community police. All these will work together. There is no way, you see, when you go out of Nigeria, you tend to hear about New York police. You tend to hear about Illinois police. You see, you have various policing for various areas. You cannot say now that there is an order to be taken from Mushin, such a police officer that takes a unilateral order on his own, based on his discretion in Mushi. If there is a collateral damage, the question anybody will ask you is that, where did you get that order from? You can see that, the organogram of the system does not permit you to take a unilateral discretion which will result in collateral damage. So it's very important at the point we have gotten to now, because if we don't do the needful when we are supposed to do the needful, you will discover that somebody in Zamfara will operate without the local security operatives there, or rather the local policing there, or rather with the state policing there, understanding the terrain. You cannot take a Mufuta out to Maiduguri and expect him to actually function effectively. That is, it's putting something that will not work together. And then, if a CP in Lagos State is going to be taking an action, he must take that order must come from, that is what we are talking about. The order must come from the top.
Okay. Mr. Ejiofor, let me come back to you. Now, I think both of you recognize the fact that you will need constitutional amendment. Now, yes, we're still at the level of the state governors submitting their own inputs in terms of how they want this to be put in place. Now, to amend the Constitution, sections 214 and 215. Section 215 says there shall be only one national police force. One single police force in Nigeria. Section 215 talks about the authority residing in the president of Nigeria, who appoints after consultation with the police council and inspector general of police. Now, how optimistic are you? Now that we hear that, it's an idea whose time has come, state governors are interested, but you will need 2/3 of the House of Reps. You will need 2/3 votes in the Senate. You will need 2/3 concurrence of all the state houses of assembly for anybody to change those two sections of the Constitution that have quoted. And that in itself could take us till 2027. But are you optimistic that it could happen earlier? And what would that optimism be based upon?
For me, that is not a problem. If the governors can agree, of course, allow me to deviate a little. We don't have state assemblies, even at the national level, the legislature. They are rubber stamps. So if the governors key into it, it's just a question of calling the legislators, even at the state and national levels, for concurrence. So that wouldn't be a problem. But that only 20 states have submitted their report is quite disturbing. When they are interested, they have shown interest at the meeting held with the NSA and that they are all interested in the state police. The problem we have in this country is that we like going in circles. We don't like solving our problems until it is compounded. And I can bet you, I'm not a prophet of doom. But if we don't have state police created before the election, I can assure you that we are going to have a lot of violence. That is why political violence. That's why I'm also advocating that we should, as a matter of urgency, look into this matter. I'll give you an example why it's very, very important that we have a state police created. Go to the northeast. You have issue of Boko Haram. You go to northwest. You have the issue of mass kidnapping, banditry. You go to southeast. You have agitation. You go to southwest. It's a different ball game. You go to south. We're talking of resource control. So you don't expect to use the same solution you apply in north to the southeast or southwest. So every geopolitical zone has its own peculiar problem with its own peculiar solution. So that is why I say that the decentralization of the police force and the command and control will help us achieve security in the country. Again, if the constitution is being amended, we have the police council, Nigeria Police Council. We can as well have the state police council made up of course, it's difficult for you now to have people who are neutral. The governors will use it as patronage to their own political allies. But let the structure be in place so that when the police council at the state level is constituted, any infringement will be reported to the police council, and they should also be working together with the National Police Council. I don't see any situation where people will just draw a line that the Nigerian police will be on its own, the state police will be on its own. It's not possible, it's not practical. And I think that's the way we should go. It's very, very critical and very important that the state police is established.
Okay, except that the police council is an advisory body and it is chaired by the president himself. It's the Police Service Commission that is responsible for promotion, welfare, and discipline. So maybe perhaps that Police Service Commission, in the event of state police, will also have to be further decentralized. But I will come back to you, Mr. Jofo. Let me go quickly to Mr. Kolawole. You were mentioning earlier on that we have state police, national police, federal police in the United States. Yes, very true. I mean, we are not reinventing the wheel. There are other parts of the world where you have state police and you have other levels of policing. But Nigeria is very peculiar. Everything, even our democracy is very peculiar.
That's correct.
What lessons do you think we can learn from other jurisdictions where they practice these things successfully, as it were?
Vis-a-vis the Police Act. If you interrogate the Police Act a bit, let me look at Section 66 of Section 1 of the Police Act, and look at the provision of that statute of the Nigerian police. You will discover the fact that the responsibility within the context of prosecution within the Nigerian police force is being amended in the context of the fact that you have to be a legal practitioner duly called to the Nigerian bar for you to become a prosecutor. But now today, what do you have? You have every police personnel who probably might not have even been granted in what the law says becoming the prosecutor in a criminal matter. Are you expecting such a person to be able to do the due diligence responsibility as a lawyer? The answer is no. When we put a square peg in a round hole and we are expecting to have an effective system, we will only be deceiving ourselves. The most important thing at the point we are, there is no perfect system. There are no perfect institutions anywhere. Our ideal type democracy is the kind of democracy we will call a prototype democracy. Our ideal type constitution we will rightly accept that we don't have an autonomous constitution. So it is until we learn to change the system. It's a common thing when we say that, look, necessity is the mother of invention. You see, at the point we are, we develop the idea type of what will be. You see, if government is about the people, then government should think in line of the protection of the people. You see, we've been going round and round and round, about the issue of security, decentralization of the Nigerian police force, reformation of the Nigerian police force. Look, we have been on this for so long. At least something must be done. A change must come. And the change right now is that the localized persons understand the terrain. And the terrain by which the localized persons understand should be policed by the locals. So whatever we have to do, amendment of the constitution, look, Dr. Ruben Abati, understand the fact that while you are amending some issues that has to do with the constitution, it is not so difficult for you to amend. Within the context of a lot of persons will tell you that we are within a state capture. A lot of persons will tell you that, look, this is a system, a democratic system that seems more or less like an autocratic system. Some persons will tell you that, look, we are not even practicing democracy, that we are practicing a totalitarian system. Some persons will also assert the fact that, look, it's a despotic system where Section 5 of the 1999 Constitution has amended, appoints Section 6 of the 1999 Constitution has amended for the ratification of Section 4. The executive appoints who becomes the Chief Justice of Nigeria for the ratification of Section 4, the legislature. So it means that the all powers, so to say, more or less in the hands of the executive could dictate and direct the direction by which he wants to go. If he wants to amend, the act, or if he wants to even change your national anthem, it does not take that long. If he wants to amend the Police Act, to elongate the stay of an Inspector General of Police, it does not take you that long. So decentralizing the police force will not take you that so long if you really have that will to want to actually change things.
Okay. Mr. Jofo, some other details. Some people say we shouldn't call the Nigerian police going forward Nigerian police force. That is because of that word, force, in the name of the Nigerian police. That's why policemen behave as if they should be very forceful against the same people that they are supposed to protect. Some people even suggest that, look, to be a policeman, to wear that uniform, the minimum qualification should be a degree. But I say, well, why do you say a policeman must be a graduate? When even the president of Nigeria, even if it's a school start fail candidate, he can be president. So, how do you deal with these contradictions?
There's nothing in a day. It's just training and orientation. Like my colleague over there said, we are still carrying out this colonial mentality that we are out there to protect people in government and not the people. That is regime protection. That's what we are facing. You can see, you recall, we discussed this issue some time ago. The Nigerian police, people are retiring, people are resigning, people are dying. Out of the less than 400,000 people in the Nigerian police, over 120, I'm quoting a former police service commission chairman, over 120,000 are deployed to dignities and they don't have personnel to work with. So how do you blame them? So you see a legislator coming with 8-10 policemen. I mean, how do you see convoys displayed everywhere, and yet we don't have people to work with? That is why it's important that you should now form the bulk of the staff complementary with the Nigerian police. So I don't think it's the name that has any problem to do, but we need to get our policemen trained, give them proper orientation, let them know that they are there to serve people and not only people in government. That's the challenge we are facing.
Well,
The more we do that, I think the better for us.
okay, except that, Mr. Jofo, I imagine that even when we have the state police, you are likely to have the same kind of orientation at the state level. Even the wives of local government chairmen, they will deploy policemen to follow them to the market.
I agree with you. But that will also reduce pressure on the Nigerian police, which is now to concentrate more on serious matter than the state police.
Okay.
We're not using the chairman of local government now. The Nigerian police is still protecting chairman of local government councillors.
Okay, let me come back to you, Mr. Kolawole, before we go on break and we allow other persons to contribute to the conversation. Now, some people are suggesting that, okay, given all these issues about orientation, about funding, about the possible politicization of state police, and, all of that, that is it not better that the federal government of Nigeria adopts a phased approach? Maybe we start with pilot schemes. Maybe some states, maybe a state in each geopolitical region should start with state policing first. Then when we see how it works out, we can now begin to expand across the country. Or you think that also has its own inherent problems?
Well, Dr. Ruben Abati, I really do not see anything bad with having a pilot idea of state policing, but the important thing is the fact that we need to have a constitutional amendment. You see, the idea, where you say, there shall be only one police force in section, 214 of the 1999 Constitution, it wouldn't allow for effective, decentralization like we desire. Until when we amend the Constitution, that's when we'll now be able to have that idea concept of now a decentralized system. We will now have a prototype idea. Look, most of what we practice, most of the principles we practice, most of the dictates that we follow, democratic, we follow the democratic principle, after the American system, most of this that we practice are not autonomous to us. They are not original to us. They are prototype to us. They are what we call a photocopy idea. So, you see, if we are practicing what we call a photocopy idea, we should also understand the fact that those that gave us the system, from the evolution of the French people that started policing, those who gave us this system had gone past where we are presently. So, what we need, look, if you move out of Nigeria now, even close within the context of the Beninoa region, once a police officer, blows a whistle, all vehicles will stop almost immediately. You see? But the Nigerian type policing is the Nigerian type people. The Nigerian type people are the Nigerian idea policing that we have. You see, one person who is joining the police, if you do a sample research, if you have an idea understanding, you will discover that a lot of persons that are joining the police do not want policing as a career. They are basically interested in joining the police simply because they are able to have a uniform to perpetuate their illegality. A lot of persons are in policing that they have the uniform to be able to perpetuate their corrupt tendencies. A lot of policing today, if you enter a police station today, I'm sure at the point of entering a police station, the first thing they are going to do, the first thing the police personnel will do, is to ensure that your fundamental right to privacy is infringed upon by seizing your phone. You can't take, even today, you can't take, you can't take your mobile phone into a police, formation. Why is that so? Against the section, against your chapter 4 right, against, section 34, section 37 of your constitution. It is absolutely an aberration. So it is until when the police become the police of people, it is until when you have an autonomous constitution that controls the dictate and direction of your institutions. Other than that, an ordinary police personnel on the road will see becomes more or less like a predator, kind of a relationship. So you don't have that fluidity. You don't. There is no relationship. It's more or less like there's a wide dichotomy created between the police and the policed. So the police today is policed based on political structure, political power, and then against the proletariat. So the proletariat do not have a say in the directions by which the bourgeoisie dictate policing in Nigeria.
I get your point. Let us hope and pray that a day will come when we will have a police of the people. After all, they tell us the police is your friend. But the situation you have described, do you know that some retired policemen, when they need money to either pay school fees or rent or, to give their wives money to go to market, they just carry their uniform and they mount a checkpoint, knowing that the ordinary Nigerian is not likely to know who is still in service and who is a retired policeman.
Do you even know, Ruben Abati, today that there are different types of police units in Nigeria? You see, there are the constabulary policing, there is the specialist policing, there is the supernumerary policing, and there is the general duty policing. A lot of people do not even understand the difference between the different types of units of policing that we have. You see, it is unfortunate that the system did not even give policing, did not give it that kind of understanding where those who are credible, those who will actually achieve it based on meritocracy, will have the opportunity to find themselves there. The system creates an avenue for mediocres, people who know somebody that knows somebody, who has the opportunity for the connection to find himself in policing. So you see, the corrupt tendencies has nothing to do with just the Nigerian police only. It is something that bedevils all our institutions.
Okay, Mr. Kolawole, I get your point. Even if we don't know the differences in terms of uniform and nomenclature, at least when we hear your boys are on the road, we know what that means. Or when they tell us where your particulars, we know where the matter is going. But in any case, let's take a short commercial break now. And then when we return, we'll invite persons who have joined us at home, either via social media or via Zoom or WhatsApp, to also express their views. We've been discussing insecurity and the state police option with Mr. Mike Ejiofor, retired SSS director, and also Mr. Kolawole, who is an expert in public affairs analysis and who has a very distinguished pedigree working for the police, the supernumerary arm of it. If you want to be part of this conversation, you can call us on 0700 1501 1501. You can send us WhatsApp messages on 0909 916 4403, and also send us tweets kindly at City 1051. We'll take this commercial break and we'll be right back.
The contracts in NDDC are given out to members of National Assembly, but you don't know about it.
When you need unbiased information, balanced analysis, reviews, and insight on the policies and programs that concern you, listen to City Talks with Ruben Abati. Be a part of it. Call 0700 1051 1051 to lend your voice on topics and help shape our country for the better.
My name is Ruben Abati. I will be your host on City Talks from noon to 1 p.m. every Saturday. Join me as we dissect major issues of public interest. You will be glad you did.
City Talks with Ruben Abati on your number one lifestyle station, City 1051. From noon to 1 p.m. every Saturday. Like this.
Hi Lagos, you're tuned into City 1051. My name is Fowobi, and today on the Can I take this again, please? Can I take this again?
To sounding like this.
Hi, my name is Mazino Apil, and I'm excited to be facilitating voiceover and audio production at City Media Academy. See you there.
City Media Academy presents the Broadcast Media Pro course. This jam-packed 2-week program, complete with a 3-week internship, gives you the skills employers demand.
I attended the City Media Academy in 2023, and it became the launchpad for my career. Today, I'm a news presenter, show host, content creator, voiceover artist, and social media manager. All thanks to the solid foundation I gained there.
Learn from top professionals like Shola Thompson, Mazino Rapil, Husband Material, Bernard Akede, Oludolakbo the Diction Coach, and Uche Uzo in areas like radio presentation, interviewing techniques, voiceover production, digital marketing strategy, mobile video creation, news reporting essentials, and vibrant public speaking skills. Invest in your career now. Early bird registration is 150,000 naira. But hurry, that offer ends on the 22nd of September 2025. Late registration is 170,000 naira. Classes start on the 6th of October 2025. City Media Academy is located at plot 11 Latif Jakonde Road, Akidingbi, Ikeja, Lagos. Get started today by WhatsApping 0801 986 8638 or visiting www.city1051fm.com/CMA. Your journey to becoming a broadcast media pro starts now.
Welcome back to City Talks with Ruben Abati on City 1051 FM. And as I said before we took that commercial break, you can be part of the conversation by calling us on 0700 1051 1051. And you can send us WhatsApp messages on 0909 916 4403 and also tweet at City 1051. Well, I thought I saw someone calling. Your name, your location. Hello. Okay, that caller will get back to us, and then. But I see some hands up already on the screen to my left. Let's start with Dr. Boniface Chizia. Dr. Boniface Chizia, please. Hello, sir. Hello, I'm not hearing Dr. Chizia. Looks like. Hello?
Yes?
Okay, I can hear you now, sir. Please go ahead.
Okay, all right. Ruben, thank you very much.
Yes, sir.
Mike, well done, eh?
Thank you.
Yeah, well done. Mike is a respected voice in this space. I think the thing to say, Ruben, is that the insecurity in the land is not sustainable. I think that's a fact all of us must accept. El-Rufai just had an interview from which he's come off poorly, talking about kinetic and not kinetic. I don't understand that non-kinetic is discussing with bandits and then bribing bandits and so on and so forth. I think that's where we are now. So we're paying bandits, to empower them to come and further attack us. So certainly we must all agree, I'm sure that's a consensus in the land, that where we are today is not acceptable at all. For those of us who've been around for a while, we know what sort of safety we enjoyed in this country. But what's happening today, we cannot live with it. So there's a need for a change to exactly what is staring us on the face. So state police, I think, is an idea which time has come. There have been some challenges, there have been some problems. But then we have to try, because then what's here now, what we have to do is not working, it's broken, and it has to be mended. I think that's the fact we must accept. So I think I would probably want to leave it there, because there are lots of challenges we can look at. You have somebody supposed to be a chief security officer who doesn't have the authority over the police force in its domain. How does that work? And so there are also challenges, but it's not. There will be problems. Some we've seen, some probably will come up, which we've not seen now. We've not anticipated. I think that we should give it a shot and see what would happen. So, Ruben, I'll leave it there. so that my friend Pascal can come in and contribute.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I see more hands up. Let's go to Dr. Pascal Ebohime. Dr. Pascal
thank
Ebohime.
you. Thank you, Dr. Ruben Abati, for inviting me to be with you for this conversation. You see, my problem is that we need to extend these debates. We still operate within, we have not gone far at all in finding a lasting solution to the issue of insecurity in Nigeria, which is a multidimensional phenomenon. As a multidimensional phenomenon, it means that we are not going to be looking at an issue of an option, talking about the state option, because the state police option is not cure-all. It's not a cure-all or a silver bullet. It's not. Because if you look at the argument against and for state police and federal police, it will seem as if we don't have police in my village. We have, but the challenge is that they are not enough. Adequacy of police, not because if the federal government, in terms of leadership, is not giving priority to policing in Nigeria, that will manifest in adequate resources allocation and adequate infrastructure to ensure that the entire country is covered. Now, the point I want to make here is this. There's no doubt about it that people are against centralized policing. What we should be concerned about is whether or not we have state police and we have federal police, depending on the responsibility or the role they are called upon to perform. For example, we're talking about international insecurity issues, terrorism, religious extremism, and so on and so forth. Often you do not expect state police or community police to go and fight that. But at the moment, what have they been able to do in terms of international dimension of insecurity? Talking about how prepared the police at that level, talking about the federal police. So the question is therefore is the autonomy and the independence, right, of the police. So what we are saying is that at the state level, local level, they don't have enough resources. They don't have the capacity to recruit the right people. But if we have the right leadership at the top, and we have done what is needed to be done, right, by ensuring that we have a powerful strategic plan and a security architecture in Nigeria, okay, and there is a leadership passion, okay, and a drive to ensure that this is done. Then, of course, the issue of whether or not we have the ability to do it at the local, this will not arise. So the issue of standard of training, professionalism, even at the federal level. So, in other words, we need a hybrid. A hybrid model suggests that you have federal police to deal with federal insecurity issues. We have state and community insecurity issues to be dealt with, at that level by the police authority. So what is important is, whether or not the devolution of authority and independence to be able to recruit and get the right people, because these have been the argument. Okay, doctor. In terms of whether there is faster response, whether they have local knowledge, whether they have political interference and the rest. All these are inevitable. They will be there. For me, what is important, if it's a systemic problem, is to adopt a more systematic approach. Okay, doctor. To adopt a more holistic, perspective to the issue of security management.
Dr. Ibrahim. Okay, thank you for your contribution. We're trying to manage time because we have limited time, but it looks like there is a caller on the line. Please, your name, your location, and please keep it brief. Hello, sir. Good afternoon. Hello.
Good afternoon, Dr. Ruben Abati.
Good afternoon.
Mr. Mike Jofa, Mr. Dami Damanakola. Yeah, my name is Rashid.
Mr. Rashid, thank you for joining us.
Yeah, welcome. You're doing a great job. Your guests, they all did well. I spoke my mind. I just want to add a little bit to what they've said. And by the way, Mr. Dami Damanakola, we are classmates in our studies days at University of Lagos, and I'm so happy to hear from him on City Talks. So the fact that we are discussing about state police shows that we are not practicing federalism in Nigeria. Because if you are practicing federalism, you can't practice federalism without state police. Because state police is part of federalism. what we have in Nigeria is unity federalism. The fathers of federalism, which is widely known as KCBA, said that state police is part of federalism. So that is just the major problem. And the issue is that state police is a veritable tool to solve insecurity in Nigeria and a veritable tool to national development. So President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has to implement federalism. Now you need to go back to federalism and the rest of the political class, because that's the problem. And he is in the right position to do it now, because when he was in Lagos as the governor of Lagos State, he fought for federalism. So I don't know why he's now silent on this issue of federalism. That should be one of the first steps he should take. So the ball is in his court now. He has the power to implement federalism. We need to go back to federalism, because if there is federalism, the state police will not be an issue. That's all I have to say. They are all doing a great job. Bye.
Thank you. So we take 2 more interventions before I go back to our guest, and then we begin to wrap up the program. Let's have Engineer Olubanwo Sunday, and after Engineer Olubanwo Sunday, Mr. Lanre Babalola, and then we begin to wrap up. Hello? Hello? Yeah, okay. That's
Hello,
Engineer Olubanwo. I can hear you now.
Okay. Good afternoon, Dr. Abati.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, the guest. It's Kola Wole and Michael Jofo. We have talked very, very well, and all the contributors. You see, the main problem are our leaders. I don't know, not politicians alone. To me, not politicians alone. I watched when President Tinubu was hosting the governors, and Governor Dauda Lawal said something that he could end banditry in 2 months or 2 weeks or something like that. This was just like last week or this week, rather. So I don't see anything bad in doing that. All they need to do, the leaders, politicians, stakeholders need to do, and I believe, is to cooperate. Either they start with regional policing, because everybody has talked a very, very good thing and positive things about this idea. So the whole thing bends on our rulers, National Assembly, senators, and presidency or whatever. State policing is very, very important now, because we have been practicing something and it's not working. It is not working unless we want to deceive ourselves. Let's try another thing so that lives and properties can be secured. Thank you all. God bless.
Thank you very much. So let's take Mr. Lanre Babalola, who has also raised his hand. And then after that, we go back to our guest. Mr. Lanre Babalola, please.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, clearly.
Good afternoon, Dr. Abati and the guest speakers. I think this is something that we need desperately. And when we're talking about state police, I know there is that fear of the state governors taking control and using the state policemen for political engagements. But there's another way out. We can decide to divide the Nigerian police into 12. There is nothing will be federal, so we can band in Lagos or Ogun. We can together as one zone. Ekiti, Ondo, and Edo states, and we have 12. And those ones, we have leaders. In the United Kingdom, we have regional police. Most people are used to the metropolitan police, but that's not the only police unit that we have. We have the Lancashire Constabulary, and everyone has the head. They don't depend, they take control of the areas, they decide and fight crime in those regions. And there's still a national minister that oversees all these regions. So the idea of state police is overdue. And there is no way we're going to fight banditry and insurgency without doing that. Let's do that today. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Lanre Babalola from the United Kingdom. Now, let's go back to our guest. Now, quite a number of issues have been raised. One of these is the regional police that Mr. Babalola just talked about. That is possible for you to have regional police as they do in the UK. There is also the suggestion by Dr. Eboymi here about a hybrid format for state policing. Dr. Chizia talked about the challenges that are involved, but that definitely the time has come. Mr. Rashid, I think, talked about federalism, that unless we address the issue of federalism, we will not get it right. And then, of course, Engineer Banwo talked about the fact that, look, this is an idea whose time has come. What we are trying is not working. Why don't we try something else? Let me start with you this time around, ACP Kolawole, and then we'll take final thoughts from Mr. Ejiofor.
Well, you see, we cannot be talking about true federalism in the real context of it. You know, if we look at the principle of federalism, you should understand quite well that normally we should not be having a strong center while we're having weak component units. You see, weak component unit within the context of everybody running to Abuja now. Now we have a strong center and weak component unit. Now, a true federalism within the postulation of KC Way is actually talking within the context of strong component units and a weak center. You see, normally the weak center, if we look at the prototype idea of the Canadian system, you will understand that the weak center is for administrative coordination of all the component units. Nigeria has a strong center and weak component unit that run to Federal Capital Territory, Abuja. You see, that is not, you see, when we talk in the context of having a system that will work, an autonomous system that will work, an autonomous constitution that will work, it means that we have to cut ourselves away from the divide and rule system that we are coming from. Because now, if you look at the postulation by which we are using, the blueprint by which the politicians are using or the government is using now, it is that centralized system. And the centralized system becomes a problem because the centralized system will cut across all institutions that Nigeria functions on. And one of the institutions is our center of discourse today, which is the Nigerian Police Force. The Nigerian Police Force cannot function, will not function, and you will not have an effective and efficient people policing in Nigeria today, except you have a decentralized system by which we can continually work, rebrand. When we'll do this continually, we will get close to perfection. Nothing is perfect, but we will eventually get close to perfection. That is the only means by, you see, decentralization has a lot to do with regionalization. Decentralization has a lot to do with true federalism. We cannot have a unitary system and then want to perform the magic of regionalization. So the system is decentralized, ensure the fact that, yes, there are federal police, correct. There is regional police, that's nice. There is state police, perfect. There is local government police, there is community police, there are vigilantes that relate. All this will work intertwined. We work within the context of interdependency and interrelativity. No system will work in isolation of itself. The federal will have, today, we have federal roads, Dr. Abati, and we have local roads, we have state roads. Why is it that, on federal roads, the state will say, no, this is not our responsibility? You see? So it is the same way by which we can decentralize our institutions so that all these institutions will work on their own, and there will be a interrelativity, interrelatedness by which there will be effectiveness within the context of performing the
Thank you very much, ACP Kolawole. Let's hear very quickly from Mr.
Thank you for having me.
Ejiofor.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, thank you.
Yes, Dr. Abati, I think one of the major drawbacks, although until we get to the bridge before we cross it, will be the recruitment process, which is also affecting the Nigerian police. The recruitment process has been politicized, To the extent that you see somebody being recruited, at the end of the training, he's posted to that person for protection. And most of them are not even vetted. Some of them are political thugs who are sent into the police to go and protect their interests. So I think we should look at the recruitment process. We should get there. And Nigerian police also should sanitize its recruitment process to avoid taking in talk, like Mr. Kolawole said, people who are there giving the police a bad image. They should be weeded out. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Mike Ejiofor, retired DSS director and security consultant. Well, that's all we can take today on City Talks with Ruben Abati. I see that the dashboard there in the studio is still, blinking, and then I see more people who want to make a correction, contribution. But this is all we've been able to take. We've been discussing insecurity and state police option with Mr. Michael Ejiofor, retired SS director, and also ACP PSU Dami Kolawole, a lawyer and a senior police officer. The insights remind us that while decentralization looks attractive and state police will help us achieve a number of objectives in terms of strengthening security, ensuring devolution of powers, federalism, but there will be issues, of course, about political will, funding, safeguards against abuse, and the integration, of technology, which we're also told would matter a lot. But thank you very much for joining us. And to our listeners, thank you for calling. Thank you for testing. Thank you for tweeting. Now, if you missed this edition, you can catch the replay on our YouTube channel in a matter of, minutes at City 1051. And when you do so, please do not forget to leave a comment, and also do not forget to subscribe. Join us again next Saturday at exactly 12 noon for another important conversation. I'm Ruben Abati, and today's show was produced by Rex Okiche, Shewa Adetitun, and Abiodun Odunton. The executive producer is Adedoja Allen. Do enjoy the rest of your weekend, and thank you for joining us. Bye for now.